is here. I did mention Fonzie. Yay! It's a long time ago. Showing my age. Happy days. A minute and 11. It's being held by the chasers at the moment. We expected this, and in fact, you've got to keep something in reserve for the individual time trial later on. It's not in anyone's interest, really, Magnus, to beat yourself up on the opening phase of a double phase day like this.
No, it's a tricky combination to be aggressive enough to be part of the morning stage and not let yourself get caught in any funny positions, and should there be any crosswind or any splits in the bunch like that. But at the same time, obviously, you want to try and save as much energy as you possibly can to for the time trial in the afternoon, because that is a short and very hard, violent effort, very difficult circuit as well to ride fast on. So there's going to be a lot of guys having this afternoon in their heads already now.
When we ride round that what will be the final turn for the first time of asking, with well, it'll be about 8.8 k's remaining, 8.4 when they cross the line. There's going to be teams wanting to have a look at the approach, because not everyone has actually mapped it in their heads. I'm sure they've had a look on YouTube and seen some of the some other service providers, and they've seen the approach. But it doesn't matter how often you, I don't know, look at something like that. It depends on what's going on around you as you approach it for the crucial moment. And strategy often has to be torn up. And well, passing the Neuerkerk, haven't seen the Oiderkerk, but anyway, of Hanzama. And then you make a big turn. It's a flattish road, slightly more technical. So by that they mean broken, muddy, and a bit grisly. Once we get to Dixmuide, then we start heading north again, straight into a headwind, until we make a turn down towards Pervicia, and then it is the run for home, including that final 8.4 kilometre circuit around the destination today. It's an interesting one, starting in De Panne, finishing in De Panne. It is the 3 days of that city. It's a great race. They've marshalled it very well over the last few years, and of course in difficult times, which we have in Belgium security-wise, as I'm sure you are aware. It's great that life goes on as normal, Magnus.
It definitely is. You know, it's nice that they have that they're still continuing to run the races, and you know, the security, as I hear, is been up for the Tour of Flanders as well. So that's always good. Yeah, it is. Security-wise, for this weekend at Flanders, it's a bit of a nightmare. It's a nightmare getting over, because the airport's still closed. The explosive device that went off, apparently, it caused such a shock within the airport terminal that the building's unstable. So what can you do? Apart from, of course, divert people elsewhere. So it makes the fans' journey a lot more difficult to actually get to Flanders, but you can be sure that there are going to be millions, as usual, turning out for what many regard as the greatest single day of cycling in the season. Well, it definitely, if you're Belgian, it is the greatest one-day race in the world, and no doubt will there be the same amount of crowds coming out again. I'm guessing that the crossing from the UK to France is going to be rather jam-packed, should we call it?
Yeah, it is. There are huge delays. I know you came back over, didn't you, recently,
yeah,
Magnus, using the Eurotunnel. You accept it because you realise that life has changed, quite frankly. We live in troubled times, but thankfully, sport is an escape for many, and it's part of life, and we have to move on and try our best to enjoy our lives. And indeed, part of that, certainly for us, Magnus, is this fantastic sport of cycling that we adore so much.
Well, it definitely is, and it is nice that we continue to do this, and you know, the teams make alternative arrangements to get their riders to the races up here in Belgium, and that we continue to have this fantastic amount of races.
If you are going to Flanders this weekend, forget a knapsack or a big bag. You won't be allowed to take it anywhere on course. So essentially, buy yourself a big coat with lots of pockets, stuff everything you need into that, and walk in to watch the spectacle, because if you have a backpack, you ain't going to get anywhere near. It'll be confiscated.
Yeah. But then again, what are you going to need when you go to a Belgian bike race?
Exactly.
They got Fritz and mayonnaise in every street corner there is. And,
Fritz, mayonnaise and beer.
Yeah.
Yes, a winning smile. Some slightly dodgy cheese, but
no, just Fritz and mayonnaise and beer. I'm happy.
Exactly. So on back to today, no great change, as you can see, and thanks for your kind thoughts. If you'd like to join the conversation on Twitter, it's at Carlton Kirby, or indeed at Maggie_PR, and we'll take some of your questions. Ben Wilson says, don't know if they already do, but do teams fill their carbon forks with foam in order to absorb the bumps on the cobbles? There are other ways of absorbing some bumps. Sky showed that last year, didn't they, with a redesigned bike with a suspension system. But yeah, what about foam in forks? Come across it?
Well, there definitely is foam in the forks. Otherwise, they would be too unstable, really. But yeah, there's so much being done for the cobblestones and the suspension that everyone keeps on playing with at some point in their manufacturing career, or whatever we should call it, really. But everyone keeps on trying to find the next best thing and the smoothest ride on the stones and all the rest of it. As far as I'm concerned, you can do an awful lot with the geometry on the bike and the layup of the carbon fiber in the frame. And the next thing is just picking the right wheels that aren't too stiff and a nice big fat tire on it.
Zaren, with its multiple chapels. How many chapels does a church need? I counted 6 there.
Sure, need 6 then.
Yeah. And what is a slipper chapel? Is it where you leave your slippers? I don't think so. It's not part of my memory, but somebody will tell me. 51.9 kilometres to go. Brake's gone out just a little bit, but absolutely no threat. A couple of questions yesterday as to whether the Katusha rider received any sanctions for the gentle punch-up. I think he was. I think he basically said, "No, I was just brushing a fly off his shoulder when I smacked him one." Whatever. There was no complaint from the recipient of the blow, and the commissaires decided that, you know what, I guess there's been so much drama going on in this country, we're just not going to sanction it. They weren't minded to do anything about it, so everyone rides on from that incident.
Yeah, and the commissaire may have seen more about it than what we did on our screens here. So
it usually takes a complainant as well to make these things stick, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you got to leave it up to the discretion of the commissaires. At the end of the day, they're the one who are there to sort things out and make sure that the guys stay on the straight and narrow.
To be honest, there are ways of goading somebody into losing their rag, even even engaging in a water pistol fight with your bidons. I've seen that before as well, to draw out a response.
Bidons being launched after people. So.
Yeah, exactly. And they're pretty heavy as well, especially when they're full. Today, at least for the opening phase of this race, it's one we've skipped in the past, to be honest, televisually, because I think they know it's quite quiet. We often hook in with highlights at the very back of the morning's activities. So it's a calm one, I think it's fair to say, Magnus.
Yeah, it is definitely a calm one. There's the problem with this well, I've got to say this particular race, as it's I think the only double stage that we have in the season, it's that the mental game that you have to play with yourself is, do you go all out in the morning or not, and also the guys in the bunch, and how far can we let these riders go? So it always becomes a bit of a sort of stalemate where no one really does too much, and yeah, that's what we end up with.
Stein Steels has got the Tony Martin anti-aero lip thing going on, as you can see. He rolls to the front right now. We're going to roll off and make a cup of tea, and we'll be back with what will be a very dramatic finale, especially when they start racing, even to have a look at that circuit. Yesterday, Bora Argon really went for it. Phil Bauhaus, very modernist, was their chosen man, and the lead-out train is absolutely stellar. There's no Sam Bennett here, but these guys were assembled for such a man. So Shane Archibald, the Kiwi, Jan Barter of the Czech Republic, these are no slouches. Zach Dempster, our friend from Oz. We've got Maska from Germany, Postel Berger, who was in a break earlier on, Schillinger, Scott Thwaites as well, who's a real hard man. So don't be surprised if Bora Argon, if they string it together today, and they will have the bravery, they'll have the mojo. So it may well be that you get a team like them just starting to punch some massive holes in everybody else's lead-out train. It could be get a bit nervy. If it does, Greipel won't like it. To my mind, Andre Greipel is not one of the favourites today, despite him being a super quick guy. He doesn't like it when it gets a bit too risky. He's had some really horrible accidents of late, and he's sort of lost that commando mood, should we put it that way? When it gets to final curves, it's too much at stake, especially with Flanders on the rise, and he's been injured and he's been ill again this year. So I think he'll put something insurance-wise. I think he'll hold something back, Magnus. So it might well be that Basker for Tinkoff and Bauhaus for Bora, or maybe some unusual guys getting in the mix in that race for that final curve today.
Yeah, well, this is more of an opportunist type of sprint, because you have that really heavy braking point, and it comes down to who dares to brake the last, really, and take that corner at the highest speed, which means that you don't necessarily have to be right on the front and have a lead-out train taking you all the way. You can just come from about 5-6 places further back and swing out and effectively be the last man on the brakes and you know, swing straight through the corner. So it is more of an opportunist type of sprint, but usually you end up seeing the same type of names up there on the front anyway.
Let's see how difficult it gets. Christoph, he's not got that much of a cushion going into the individual time trial. It's got an uphill task written all over it, I think, to be honest, for him to take the title. But he is our leader at the moment, and Katusha not that too far off the front, as you can see. They've been doing a lot of work, and in fact Christoph himself is just a little bit further back, just keeping out of the wind. You never know, he might wrestle for it, but then again, as we've said, he's also thinking about other classics which are to come. It's a great prep race, this. Let's go to our breakaway then, looking at them right now. Lars getting back, former teammate of yours, Magnus, and I remember watching him into Sestri Levante. Did an amazing job on the Giro in 2012, and that was a win from a breakaway. So he's comfortable in this scenario, I think it's fair to say. But you worked closely with him, and he's a nice guy, isn't he?
He's a top man, a really nice guy to work with and to deal with as he comes up there in the red kit from Lotto Soudal. But no, what a super guy, quality bike rider. Loves being out in the breakaways, but also does an awful lot of hard work for his teammates. And Lars used to lead me out back in the day in 2003 when we were riding for Facta in the Giro d'Italia, and successfully doing so and setting me up for the Inter-Giro competition.
Also in red here, you can see Covidis just coming off the front of this breakaway group just for the time being. Is Hugo Hofstetter. He's only 22 now. He went well in the Paris-Roubaix Espoirs last year, finishing 3rd place. Now that's no mean feat.
No, definitely not. The Espoir Roubaix is very hardly fought, and you know, tends to be some solid bike riders winning that one through the years. So you got to take your hat off to the man if you can cope with that amount of cobblestones.
Yeah.
You got a certain amount of power in your legs, there's no doubt about it. So well done to him for that. Dix
Moida coming through here, and this will be where we make our big right-hand turn and start heading back to the coast. Likewise, just dwelling for a moment on Hofstetter. He got a top 10 in the Loire Atlantique, so he loves a bit of grizzly weather, does our man from Cofidis, who's in the breakaway. I guess that's essential on a day like this. It's about 8 Celsius, by the way, which, I don't know, you think, well, not too bad, but believe me, if you were to put your air conditioning at 8 Celsius in your car, in fact, I don't even think it goes down that low for health reasons. I think the minimum you can have in a vehicle is 14 Celsius. So yeah, it's very cold.
You'd end up with frost in your vehicle.
Yeah, you would. Yeah, well, if only I could grow a beard. I'm a bit of a Fu Manchu beard man myself. It doesn't really work for me. Have you ever gone for a full set? Are you a beardy man?
No, I'm not really.
There we are. It seems to be de rigueur these days, although fewer beards this year appearing in the peloton. There are, of course, the stalwarts like Jeffrey Soupé, Geske, but face fungus seems to have gone as a fashion.
Well, it started in the beginning of the year. There was an awful lot of them, and now they all seem to have started to shave them all off. But yeah.
Yeah, I think there was some kind of Tash-tastic Wednesday, wasn't there, for charity or something, and everyone just carried on.
It's the Movember tends to really do.
Movember being the moustache.
Yeah, exactly. And what a great thing to try and raise money for cancer charity.
Well, here is our what I've erroneously called in the past a water tower, but it's very much a monument and a viewing platform in this part of the world. Yeah. Yes, you can see this
means iron, by the way.
Iron, the Iron Tower.
Yeah,
there we are. Yeah, it reminds me of a shot tower. You don't know what a shot tower is? I'll tell you one day.
Yeah, please do.
But yes, it's a memorial to, as well, of course, to the dead from the Great War, many of whom, of course, still sleep in these fields. 42 kilometres to go as we head down past one of the drainage dikes, or not dikes, but canals here, and never looks tempting enough to jump in. It's all terribly muddy, and you don't want to take a mouthful of that because it's got rather a lot of manure in it.
Yeah, it's not the best of water to go swimming in, that's for sure. But
stay on the surface.
Nice day out on the boat, though.
Yeah, very much so. Yes, I'm not sure what I think about boating really. They always seem like owning a boat is a bit like having an elderly relative you sort of feel duty bound to go and visit. And then when you get there, you find out it's not that much fun. Hey, look, your relatives are probably different to mine. 41.2 kilometres to go. We're going everywhere today, including off-piste. But not a great deal is happening. Mark Isaacs down under says, don't worry about shouting out too much for the Aussies. I'm just absolutely stoked, he says, because he's still down with the kids, is our Mark. He's stoked to have live racing prime time down under. Well, it was an early start for us, but I see what you mean, Mark, and you're very, very welcome. Minute 14. I've been saying that for such a long time, Magnus. It's 74 seconds, you know. That's the gap. Magnus is going to be giving us his Stompot recipe fairly soon, so get a pencil and paper ready for that. Are you?
I don't know. Do you want me to?
Yeah. Shred some Swede, lightly braise it, mix it with potato, add some mustard and maybe a bit of cabbage. Job done. It's the Doden gang, and as you can see, the preserved trenches from the Great War. It's never really a joy to see such things, to be honest. It's a reminder of a great scar that runs through the heart of this nation. Gosh, where have you been? We've been talking about basketry. It's yeah, I don't know, if you're a weaver of the willow, you're in your heartland. 38.3 kilometres to go. Hey, the gaps.
You've lost me again, Carl.
Yeah, I've lost myself. I'm a hopeless case. I tell you what, it's time to press the button for the Tony Martin Spectacle Update.
Well, there is an update.
Go on, what's happening with the Tony Martin Spectacle Update? What's going on?
He's wearing them.
Hey, Glenn Hoskins spotted it. Tony's gone for the bins, as they say.
Clear ones at that.
Well, yeah, those are the only ones he kind of wears. Will he have a visor tomorrow, though? Usually an integral one, isn't it, for him?
Tony usually doesn't wear a visor when he does time trial. He just either goes for the clear spectacles or nothing.
There we are. So old Red Eye, as he's known at the end of a long stage, has decided that, I don't know, discretion is a greater form of valor, or maybe protection is. Damp roads today, a little bit muddy. The last thing you want is a bit of grit in your eye when you've got to do the job.
Well, that is completely true, and that's why I sort of preach to most riders that I come across to wear glasses at any point, whether it's sunny or not, and you know, all it takes is for one fly or something like that to hit and get you in your eye, and that's a serious situation for you.
Your opinions on the dramatic reduction in thatched roofs in this part of the world?
In what?
The dramatic reduction in thatched roofs. You see the reed beds here? That was your roofing material for so many years in this part of the world. And now it's at an end, and the craft is disappearing. It's tragic.
Yeah, it is tragic.
He's hopeless. I give you these subjects to pick up and run with, and you just ignore it.
I'm sorry, Carlton, but I'll leave all that side of things to you.
Yep,
I'll just focus on these boys on 2 wheels and a couple of pairs of pedals as well.
Come on then. What about Alexander Pichot? What's he got? He's from Direct Energy. He's just coming to the front right now. Checking over his shoulder is our Dayglow man, Fonzie, as well. Happy days for him. So tell me about these guys.
Well, Pichot had a really good year, a couple of years actually. He was 11th in Tour of Flanders in 2009, and in 2012 he had a good couple of outings in E3 Harelbeke, where he was 8th, and also 5th in Driedaagse De Panne-Koksijde. So
that is good.
He certainly knows his way around these roads up in Belgium.
And what about Fonzie?
Fonzie has not really done an awful lot so far in his professional career.
Ever since leaving Happy Days, taking up the bike.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, ditched the leather jacket and went for Lycra.
Stan Stales is also up here, and he's a handy boy to have around. 26 years of age, and punches above his weight. He won the Dwars d'Or. There's lots of Dwars d'Ors, by the way.
Dwars?
Yeah, of Vlaams Ardenen. So that was the 3
Dwars d'Or de Vlaams Ardenen.
Yeah,
yeah,
which wasn't bad last year, and in fact this year he's won the Grand Prix de la Vieille de la Lilliers Souvenir Bruno Comini.
Yes, he did.
He certainly did. Scott Davis, by the way, was in that race from Team Wiggins, finished in 6th place. So obviously a handy test, and the 26-year-old is here as well. That Bruno Comini, by the way, is a proper race. You'll excuse our mirth, but it really is. And he went for it on the Lillier to Lillier, 185 kilometres, and it was a day with some pretty sterling opposition in it. Thanks for your thoughts on Twitter, most of which are... Paul Roberts says, thatched roofs, are you okay, Mr. Kirby? Magnus is a bit worried. But it's only because of...
A bit is an understatement, and I think here.
The hard road is describing me as totally psychedelic today. Yes, we're on the fever. We've got the fever. We're waiting for Flanders, basically. And so are many of these guys, Magnus. The ones we've got on screen have been brave enough to show up. And, yes, they're not scaredy cats, but some great names have stayed away from this because it is quite focused. And you'll see that when we get to the end of today's first phase. Bonen, Cancellara, Van Mark, Sagan, Thomas, Van Avermaet, Stibar, Rollins, Terpstra, Vandenberg are not here. However, Alexander Kristoff is, and he doesn't mind having to go a double, but he's not been well. Leads this race. We've got a time trial to finish the day off. It may well finish off Alexander Kristoff, I'm afraid, because there's some pretty handy guys who can time trial, including, of course, Leo Vestra from Astenhuis. It's only 10 seconds down. So let's consider who's still got a chance today, accepting that, generally speaking, the times are going to be pretty much set on this first phase today, going into the time trial. Who do you fancy for the title, Magnus?
Well, I still think that Kristoff is going to be difficult to beat. It's 10 seconds over the 14 kilometers to this afternoon, between him and Wester, I don't think there's going to be an awful lot of you know, between them as such. And after that, we're starting to look at some pretty big time gaps. So, you know, it's 43 seconds down to Mads Pedersen, and Durbridge at 46. Tony Martin is at 48 seconds. You know, that's way too much for even the best time trialist in the world to bring back over such a short period of time. So I think we're looking at the battle between Christoph, Lutsenko and Vestra.
And don't count out Lutsenko either, because as Christoph has proven in this race, not essentially badged up as a time trialist, and so often we've said that riders who don't necessarily shine brightly when it comes to an individual time trial, they haven't had to, and when they're finally called on to do so, they go all in and produce a stellar performance. Alexander Christoph, when he won it last time, I think was third in the individual time trial, so he can go for it and spin it up, as he proved right then.
Yeah, definitely. It's, you know, when you're in that position, you're racing for an overall win, then of course you're going to go give it everything that you got. And you know, Christoph has got an immense amount of power, and it's maybe not the most flattering type of time trial styles that I've ever seen, because he turns such a big gear. But he makes it go fast, and I guess that's the key thing. You know, power doesn't have to be pretty, as a very famous cyclist once said.
Kevin Airy says he's loving the idle conversation. We're trying to bridge to this 8.4 kilometers remaining. As I said before, we haven't normally given you the joy of this stage 3A. We've shown highlights a little later on. Andre Greipel decides to hand over the laundry, as you can see. Yes, job done with the warm gear. It's not wet today, thank heaven. And just sailing back into our consciousness, Andy Fenn, after being caught on camera with a brief comfort break, bless him. Just making a transition off the Canal Wall Road. That's a traffic calming device. Anyway, there you go. Bit of a chicane and then more of the same. I think we should ban mourning for Carlton Kirby, says Stephen Betley. Betley, I beg your pardon, Stephen. Yes, I'm in tears over the devastation of the reed industry, says Neil Strain. Heartbreaking, all that wasted marshland. You're speaking my mind, Steve. By the way, if you see a roof with a sort of a kick out at the end, if it starts to fan at the end, so flare, it means that it was actually built for thatch. You see it on some of the older buildings. They're all pantiles these days, honestly. What happened to tradition? Silence from Magnus. He's leaving. 31.6 kilometers to go. Another big turn, as you can see. This is a loop just after Ramskapelle. Gonna have to go to Ramskapelle just to see why it's called that. When did the ram escape? That's the one I want to know. Vulpen next, and then of course we've got our circuit. Can't wait. See you in a moment. As you can see, Senchal just handing over some of his cold weather gear. No rain today, and that's a blessing. We've just been considering whether Marcel Kittel will feel aggrieved enough after yesterday to go for it. He had a very quiet season last year. Well, it was noisy in terms of the press, I guess, but just never really managed to get physically where he needed to be, and I say mentally as well. But then again, when you're off form, or at least out of winning ways, mentally is always an issue. But anyway, Marcel looks really happy. He's got a great train around him, and Ritresi and Sabatini have been working so hard. Didn't work yesterday because of the cleverness of Viviani. When Viviani crossed the line yesterday, Magnus, he nearly managed to get a reading on the Richter scale. It was tectonic. He really needed that win, and he got it.
Yeah, he definitely needed that win, and this is a race that he's been targeting as well this year. So to be able to pull off a stage win was great for Viviani, and I think we'd be silly not to count Viviani in for today's stage as well, because with this really sharp corner, only a couple of 100 meters before the line, I think it's definitely Viviani kind of a kind of sprint.
Well, it's a hearty food day today. When you go to the frit truck, and it's obviously not just fries that you go for, what's your sausage of choice? Have you ever tried a Mexicanos?
I don't actually go for the sausages in there.
What?
No. Belgian frites should be Belgian frites and mayo.
Oh, honestly, well, you need a bit of protein in there. Mexicanos, by the way, my favourite. It's spicy, what the Scots would call lawn sausage. So it looks like it's been run over. It's flat, and they usually cut it into strips, and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially with a bit of paprika mayonnaise, which is one of the variants of mayonnaise. Are you a pure mayonnaise man?
I'm a pure mayonnaise man.
Oh gosh, tradition. Honestly, move it. You've got to get down with the kids with your Mexicanos and the rest of it. Anyway, we try our best. A couple of you writing in and saying that absolutely love cycling in Belgium. We're roundly cheered when we pass by the locals, says Simon Bates, as if we were in the race. They're cycling mad in Belgium. They certainly are. And this weekend, it's the national race, for goodness sake, the Tour of Flanders. They're not going to let anything spoil it, are they?
No, definitely not. And what a battle we're going to have on our hands as well, with Sagan, Cancellara, maybe even Bonen, who knows. Christoph definitely, I think, is going to be in there. And I have a sneaky suspicion that we're going to see a couple of the boys from the team that you're seeing on your screen here now.
BMC, I think so too. Taylor Phinney, you know, for all his injuries, he hasn't shied away from combat, and I always fancy him to do rather well at some point on one of these cobble classics, because he's a fantastic bike handler. His accident, by the way, was not his fault. He was struck by a motorcycle, so I think we've said enough on motorcycles at this pace anyway. They're not making a nuisance of themselves, which is good. Yeah, BMC have sent here a terrific time trialing team as well, haven't they?
They certainly have done. Although, are they going to be going all that well? Are they going to go full out? It all comes down to how they're sitting on the general classification, and also what they you know, where they're at physically for the Tour of Flanders. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. But I think one of my outside bets for Tour of Flanders this weekend is going to be Greg van Avermaet.
GVA, well, giving it the old GBH. Why is that an outside bet?
Well, it's not really an outside bet, but you know, it's he's been there or thereabouts for so many times. That's and true, just missed out. And I think this is the year that he's going to come and really give it a good run.
Don't forget, you can keep in touch with Flanders live throughout. It's myself and Sean Kelly. Magnus, you're also going to be at the race enjoying proceedings. It's just a fabulous thing to be part of, and you can advise people about where to go and to enjoy the spectacles of cycling, whether that's up the Galibier or Ventoux, whether that's up the Champs-Élysées for the final of the Tour. But honestly, Flanders is such a spectacle, and you're almost guaranteed superb drama in a hotbed of cycling. It's a privilege to be there.
It definitely is, and I think if you are going out there, there's a couple of key places to be. One being on the Eau de Quarmont, and the other one on the Patersburg. Two key moments in that particular race. So go out there and live it up with the Belgians.
Yeah, why not? Legan just handing over there his rain jacket as well. As I mentioned earlier on in the programme, in case you missed it, I think that there's going to be some skirmishes today from some minor teams who I think will get a decent result. I'm thinking Bauhaus, he of the sort of dodgy tubular steel furniture, for Bora Argon. He's got a fantastic lead-out train with Archibald, Jan Barter, Dempster, Maschka, and others, including Scott Thwaites, who was a proper prize fighter, and Baska for Tinkoff. So when we drift away from Kittel, potentially Greipel, although I think if it gets rough, he won't. Christoph, Viviani, Mezgec. When you start looking at some others, there are options for some of the other teams here, particularly because of that nasty final turn.
Well, I think if we're talking Borag on 18, I think we have got to look at Scott Thwaites today for the sprint.
I'd love to see him do
with that particular right-hand turn and the criterium capabilities that Scott Thwaites has, having raced on the UK scene an awful lot and done the Tour Series and the National Circuit Series races.
It's all about that, isn't it?
It is all about that. It's exactly what we've all had to deal with have to deal with on those particular type of races. So,
and anyone who has to deal with Scott Thwaites as well knows they've got their hands full.
Yeah, I mean he's extremely good at this kind of thing.
Well, let's see. So Aragon, if it's not Bauhaus, it could be Scott Thwaites that's in the house. And honestly, he is such a tough cookie to be around when you're on a bike. Lovely bloke off it, but you don't want him as your enemy when you're out there.
Well, most of these guys are nice, really nice guys on the, you know, off the bike. But and most of them are on the bike as well to a certain point. But you know, when you're going racing, aren't you? And
exactly,
you got to be.
It's what he does. And he does it very well. We're going to take a break. 23.2 Ks to go. They'll see the finish line for the first time on a short loop of 8.4. So plenty of time then for them to sort themselves out. And us. We've just been considering some of the hard men that may well deliver today. And Christian House of One Pro Cycling. He's 36 years of age now. And I've seen him, I think we mentioned yesterday, in the milk race and other events, city centre crits, where final curves often come very close to the line. And he's a man who could well be in the crucial top 5, or maybe even just top 3 round that last bend. He hasn't got a lead-out train to help him, but he's a skirmisher, so he can latch on to others, as Viviani did yesterday.
Yeah, and this particular sprint is all about getting into that final turn in a good position and then just trying to hold on. It's a difficult one to judge. If you get through the corner first, you've got to open up straight away, and you know, as long as you've got the legs, then that's probably the best position to be. But we've seen an awful lot of sort of, should we call it, battles going into that corner in the past.
Here's Viviani, and the man who yesterday got the beating of Kittel at the very last. Played it beautifully, didn't he? He burnt his team on a slow burn, but it was all part of the battle plan. And he followed the right wheel and kept very calm until the moment of, of impact, when he decided to go for it.
Yeah, well, he did, and it was like we thought when Team Sky got on the front very early on that leader. They wanted to just get Viviani to the point where Ethics Quickstep took over the final run-in and get himself onto the wheel of Marcel Kittel and then just follow that one. And he did very well in being cool and waiting for such a long time before he actually opened up his sprint and properly went for it. It was almost like Marcel Kittel in the end just about acted as a lead-up man for him.
Yeah, exactly that. 19 kilometres then. He punches a big hole in the air as well, Marcel Kittel. He's a big guy. It hasn't really done him too much harm, being so big of stature. He delivers his power beautifully, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He's certainly an incredibly powerful rider when it comes down to the sprint. Like I said, he's a big man, and that can help coming into, maybe not for the sprint itself, because obviously there's an awful lot of wind that you're pushing. The aerodynamics isn't always the best, but you know, actually getting to the finish and getting in the final kilometers when everything goes a bit crazy, it helps being a bigger man, and you can kind of ride your way through the peloton just as you see please.
Exactly. Use of shoulders and elbows, you've seen plenty of that. And you've got to be prepared to take some hits, and having great core strength is part of that. Just and bike handling skills likewise. He does a super job. So time then to bring this one home. Tony Martin today, I think, will want to win the individual time trial. I don't think he's going to find, as Magnus was saying a little bit earlier on, the 48 seconds that he actually needs. Likewise, Durbo, despite the turbo, it's only his nickname, by the way. I'm not talking about mechanical doping or anything like that. It's 46 seconds down the deficit. Lots of decent time trials come along here to have some fun and maybe steal the title, but gaps have been formed, and Alexander Kristoff is looking very powerful, and his team likewise at the moment. 17.8 to go, so we're on this crucial approach. I imagine the final lap, it's let's describe it to you, shall we? We've got 3 roundabouts within it and a number of focused turns. The most difficult turn of all is only 300 meters from the line.
Yeah, I'd say that's a fair one, and the rest of the circuit is on very similar to what we had yesterday on the local lap. It's relatively big roads and not too difficult at all. It is just that final turn, but what we got is effectively what could it be, 2 kilometers straight leading into just a tiny little bend in the middle of that straight. So the last kilometer is more or less into the corner, is more or less dead straight, and then you got 300 meters from the moment you come through that bend.
Yeah, it is a 2-kilometer stretch of almost arrow straight highway up the Vernestrata. Who was Vern? No idea. But the turn back onto the start-finish line, we only see the circuit once, incidentally, or so 8.4 Ks. We're doing most of it. We come in from the south at the turning point. I'm actually wondering whether they'll get to experience the turn on our entree. Can you remember where we actually come in on the circuit, Magnus?
I think we're coming in with about 3.5 kilometers to go of the circuit, and so we do get to go past the line a couple of times to negotiate that corner.
There we are, which is good news.
So, I don't know whether, to me, it was never good to actually know how tight the bend or the corner was. I preferred having a straight run into the finish, kind of going in, not blind, because obviously you may do your research the night before and have a look at the corners. And yes, this particular finish has been here for so many years, so you sort of know it. But at the same time, going blind into a turn like that, I preferred that, because I took the corner like I thought it was going to be, and if it was tighter, then you had to deal with it then, which usually meant you went through it much quicker than if you knew that it was a very difficult tight corner where sometimes you ended up being overcautious.
Just coming up to one of the rushes, one of the intermediate sprints, and any time you can get bitten in this game. It's De Vries who's hit hard. Looks like he's taken a smack to the thigh, and that's always a nasty one. It takes a while.
He's come down hard on that one.
Yeah, he has. And it takes a while once you get that sort of muscular shock. But it may. I don't think it's his knee. I think he's trying to massage out the thigh. It may well have been his own bike that issued the blow.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. If it was some form of street furniture or what happened.
See if we can catch anything for you. Now there he goes. Now, what's the issue? Well, he just fell hard on his thigh, and that's what he was rubbing, just trying to get what must feel like an almost instant cramp back out of it.
Yeah, he went down quite hard on his side. He wheel of the rider in front of him, and there you go.
14.9 kilometers, 26 seconds now. They've had enough of this breakaway. They'll take the sprint, but not much more. They're rolling with it. They've done this for much of the day, and it's suited everyone, Magnus, to have this breakaway where it's been.
Well, it definitely has suited everyone, and that's part of the reason why you're trying to get the morning breakout on the road as quickly as you can. Lars back here now, clearly thinking about that they are going to get caught, and saving a bit of energy for a bit of being able to help his teammates and dragging Greipel up to the front in the final. Alternatively, why not a big move on his own, but I think it's Peloton are too close now for Lars Bak to really make an attack and trying to make that stick.
I think so. So 14.1 is all we've got remaining as they sort of start to string themselves out, thinking about the 3, 2 and 1 bonus seconds. And indeed there is our little rush sprint. And as you can see, no great hurry, it seems. Has this just been accepted, or are they just going to roll through? Because it's of no consequence. You can't win the Rush's jersey. And indeed, they just continue doing the job that they've done. And it's Lars Ytting-Bak that it sits at the back, the least interested of them. And Hofstetter who takes the points.
They certainly weren't in a rush to get across that line.
They weren't, were they? No, definitely not. There we go then. Our approach. So, Magnus, have you picked one yet?
I actually think that Viviani's going to do the double.
There we are. Well, you've gone all in. Do you want an outsider as well? Somebody who's going to box clever?
Do I get two?
Yeah, yeah. One of the fabs.
Do I get to think about it as well, or?
Yeah, you can have a little cheeky one, if you like.
Okay.
So you think Viviani for a second. You know, I'm tempted to go with Gardini today. Just as I know he's an outsider, especially in this elevated company, but it's been short enough today for him to have a go. And he's clever as well, and I think he'll be motivated. Astana as well. I think they'll do a job for Gardini. It's of no consequence for the overall, and I think they're hungry enough to prove something to themselves as well as this afternoon in the time trial. So there you go, slightly left field with Gardini, but no disrespect to the great sprinters.
Do you want to
take
your second pick then as well before?
Well, I've already gone left field, so I'll go straight down the middle. I'm going to say Andre Greipel to completely and utterly blow away all we've said about him taking it easy into the final corner. So I'm ripping up my strategy right now. Go on.
Right, I'm going Marcel Kittel then.
That's not an outsider.
That was it not, but no, Greipel is not an outsider either,
Come on, no, but Gardini is, and I sort of did it in reverse.
Oh, right, okay.
So if you're having Viviani, you've got to have an outsider as well.
I've got to have an outsider, okay, fair enough.
So you're going Viviani, and? Is
Luka Meskic an outsider?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going for him.
Ish. Very ish, honestly, top of the outsiders.
Top of the outsiders.
Yeah, that's a cheat. I was hoping you were going to pick somebody like Christian Haus, 36 years of age, brute, who does lots of city crits and can do it for One Pro Cycling. I thought you were going to... I was thinking in that sort of terms, but anyway, we move on. 11.9 kilometres remaining as we go past one of the world's largest fast food suppliers and head inexorably towards our circuit.
I'm going to change mine then and go for Scott Thwaite.
Honestly, it's like handing a kid a chocolate box plus all that little note telling you which flavours, and Magnus just stalls on that. So I had just too much choice. 11.4 k's to go, 19 seconds only, and it may as well be nothing because they are not motivated to kick on anymore at this point.
No, I think the peloton is going too fast as well for them to really do anything more with that breakaway. If they had the legs, I think they would have gone harder earlier and tried to sustain that advantage that they had. So, yeah.
Leslie Haynes, are we showing Flanders on Eurosport? Yes, Leslie, we are. And in fact, we're going to see more of it on Eurosport than you'll be able to see anywhere else. So make sure you tune in. Some great drop-in pieces as well, and very much looking forward to it on what is going to be a race tinged with, of course, concern because of the security situation in Belgium. But nonetheless, we're going to go racing and we're going to do our level best to enjoy the 100th Tour of Flanders, we remind you, the centenary event. It's going to be mega.
Well, I think so. I'm really looking forward to this, and I think there's so many riders this year who will be competing for the win on that one. I think it's a more open Tour of Flanders than we've seen for a long time. I
agree entirely, and being the centenary as well, it has a place in history, doesn't it? And it almost adds. Well, of course it does, but being the 100th of the great race, I think what is it, four times Cancellara would go if he wins it, and I think that will be unique. It'll be an amazing performance if he actually manages to pull it off.
I personally think Cancellara is eyeing up the double, Flanders and Roubaix.
Well, it's his last season apparently, so why not give it a go? We're nearly there. 8.4 kilometers is the final circuit, and we are essentially on it right now, coming down the Robert van der Straat. We're going along the Koksijde, and indeed there's the Flamme Rouge, which announces the corner coming fairly soon.
So about 700 meters.
Indeed. And so on the approach, it's a big highway, this. You want to get over to the left-hand side of the road to swing in and basically slam the door shut on the approach, if you've got enough space with your lead-out train. They want a good look at this Ethics Quick Step, which shows their mood on behalf of Marcel Kittel. So this is it.
Just getting some inside information. Well, it's not actually all that inside, because if you follow One Pro Cycling on Twitter, they're putting it out there that Christian House is actually looking after Hayden McCormick towards the final here, and so yeah, I think it's McCormick that they're going for.
There's your corner. How nasty is that? Wow, that spells trouble, and the script will be written late. And my goodness.
And I guess it's when you come through that corner as well, it's not a straight line to the finish either. No. The road actually bends ever so slightly, so it's a very difficult one. Ideally, you want to come around that corner, move over to the right-hand side of the road, and then just keep a clear straight line towards the left-hand side of the finish line, which well, if you front row, then it does mess up everyone else up. So yeah, that's what I would do. Front row, expensive seats, and everyone is going to want to put their saddle right there. 8.1 kilometers to go. Here we are then. Nice gentle curve around Zalan to the Dunkerlaan along the side of the beach. Not too much wind today, but look at the pace we've got already here, Magnus. They need position, and they need it now. They can sort themselves out on the big long approach with about after the final roundabout with 3.2 Ks to go, but nonetheless everyone's in colour order even now. Yeah, they're definitely, but what we got here is the tram lines, which everyone has to deal with, and usually there's someone who tries to play trains at this point and ends up on the deck. Pretty much every year I've done it. Hey, well, that's street furniture that's the problem this time. Christian House has just gone into the Mundo. Yeah. That's Grusso as well, and this is not a great moment, I'm afraid. Ouch. This hurts. Christian House then is not going to be there at the end, I'm afraid. That's knocked that one out. That's a shame, because he was clearly motivated today. Well, he was looking after his teammates, and luckily they got through okay. I don't know what happened with Christian there, or if he got caught in one of the tram lines, or what may have happened. It's very easily done, but something you definitely want to try and avoid. Well, that team absolutely wasted, I'm afraid, here. Von Hoff, Mortensen, Hunt, Opie, Matt Goss, of course, and now Christian House. I think he'll ride on this afternoon, but big disappointment for Christian House. It was he had an option today, and that's now just been torn up or neutralized. Likewise, they'll be declaring all together in just a few moments' time, and the push on is coming from Katusha and Ethics Quickstep, with Astana starting to join the fun right now. Let's have a look. Pushed over to the side of the road. Ouch. Well, it's street furniture, and it looks unguarded as well. There's a couple of bollards there that have no pennant man, and that's a bit nasty, I'm afraid. I think Christian House was lucky there not to hurt himself any more than he did. That could have gone very, very badly. Well, he's coming wide around the outside. I guess that's a warning to absolutely everybody as to how tight you have to take that curve. Well, we said it was a nasty one, and with those open bollards, really they should have been shaved off.
to be honest. It was naughty.
Well, someone needed to warn about that one, and potentially put some barriers to sort of bring the riders in a bit.
Even a cordon with a whistle man and a pennant man. That's what we would have liked. Let's have a look at it. Here's the spit over to the other side of the road. Well, naturally, as you come through here, there we are. That's unguarded. That's not good. That's not good and unusual. Well, to be frank.
And he wasn't alone on that one either.
No,
there was a large amount of riders that went that wide around the corner and didn't expect anything to be standing there.
5.8 kilometres to go. Pace is up.
Here goes Cofidis.
Roundup or roundabouts that we have. They'll take a gentle pull away from the railway line in a few moments' time. The road, as you can see, just snakes a little bit before a gentle right-hander. And then it's a very focused right-hander on the first roundabout. You take a quarter of it. So in at 6 o'clock, out at 3, if that makes sense. And this is a proper push, but it's only to kind of ally a bit of pace within the push that we're seeing right now. Top Sport also looking reasonably lively. It may well be that you'd still get a surprise, but I think it's going to be the top draw, frankly, right now, with Christian House being neutralised a few moments ago in the most unkind manner. Bora still in the game, though, and Scott Thwaites or Bauhaus, you never know, they might build something. 5.1 kilometres remaining. That's De Vries getting back in after his tumble.
Yeah, definitely had to work quite hard to get back in there, but all these riders now using every piece of sort of hard-packed surface that they can find to try and move up. And here we go through the roundabout. This is now part of the time trial course this afternoon as well, so they're getting to have a bit of a look on this one. That's
the second of the 3 roundabouts. The next one will come with about 3.2 kilometres to go, so in 1,500 metres time. That will be another quarter turn through the roundabout. They took the first two. We were just watching some of the riders get back in. The first of 3, and it's coming up the last roundabout, and then it is that arrow straight line. This is a clever move, you know.
That was a clever move as well, going straight through on the bike path there instead of just straightening out that roundabout, meaning that you didn't have to turn an awful lot, and carried all the speed.
Did indeed. Wow. Wait till we get to our last 3 kilometres. This man is having a push. Meanwhile, behind, there's not much road space to play with, and Bora are indeed on the left-hand side of your picture, right-hand side of the road. They're determined to be part of the fun today. They looked ambitious yesterday, and they have got this spectacular train. Thwaites or Bauhaus for them, do you think?
Thwaites, I'll go with.
Let's see if we can tell from their protected line. The men in the dark jerseys, as you can see, for the time being, just can't quite pick him out. I think it's Bauhaus who's protected. Number 1, 2, 3. Like clockwork, I guess. Here we are. Big turn then. This is that quarter roundabout. We've had more roundabouts than was declared, to be honest, because some of them have been straight over. But nonetheless, this is the final one that they will deal with. Unless they've fooled us yet again. Here we are then, big turn. 3.3 kilometres only, and he's got a bit of a gap here now. He could take advantage if they start looking at each other. Somebody's going to be tempted into action, but how far out before they start engaging? And here come Lotto Soudal. Andre Greipel's men are assembling themselves, so clearly he feels that if there's enough space out there, then why not go for it? Greipel will play the game today.
Yeah, he definitely will, and just like I thought, is Lars back on the front here now for Lotto Soudal, starting to drag Andre Greipel up towards the front, and having been in the breakaway this morning already, he's now doing a fantastic job. It's actually only Lars back left in there for Lotto Soudal to help Greipel out.
Nippo Vinifantini also playing the game with Edouard Grosso is their chosen man, so watch out for the blue and orange. You can see them mixed in here, along with Lampre next to Bora. The pink and blue of Lampre, that's for Marco Kump. Who's been going well in the absence of, well, he's got Ferrari to lead him out, so that will be handy. Modolo, of course, not taking part yesterday. 2.4 kilometres to go, time running out. There's this little jink in the road. It straightens out to almost a dead flat run of 2Ks right now.
Well, it looks like Ethics Quickstep have got themselves boxed in on the right-hand side of the road, just opened up now, taking a bike path to try and move up, but
There's not a lot of space to work with here, and some others as well. Stolting also getting engaged as we speak right now. Any others that you've spotted here, Magnus?
Well,
Francis de Jong also playing the game.
Marcel,
2 kilometers to go.
Marcel Kittel was just a bit boxed in, trying to follow his teammates and not quite making a good job out of it. So he's not with his teammates right now, just finally latching up on the left-hand side of your picture there.
Time running out then. Marcel Kittel does get himself into shape. The Lamprey lead out has broken down, I'm afraid. Ferrari's busy searching for his man, opening up dead centre as well. Astana also wanting to play the game with Andrea Gardini on hand to have a good run, but he's going to go solo. He's going to have to do essentially what Viviani did. 1,500 metres to go. Don't forget, in about 1,200 metres time, they'll take that final crucial curve. But it's all about your positioning, and here come Fini Fantini with Grosso being led in. He's been disengaged. It's gone wrong for them, and for so many other plans are being cast asunder here. But solid at the front for now, and Christoph with Team Katusha.
Yeah, Katusha and Ethics Quickstep doing a big drag race. Team Sky is still very far back, but now finally starting to move up, and this is just a big drag race. 1 kilometre to go.
Ray Crader's in here as well. Mitch Crader's trying to guide his brother in right now, but Ray Crader and Laurie as well for the men in the orange. Oh, it's boxing, but you've got to box clever, and it's all about ethics and indeed Katusha just for the time being. Over to the left-hand side of the road, trying to open up the profile of the entry into the final curve. Here they are. It's coming any moment now. Orica Greenedge also in there. I think Luka Mezgets has made it to the fore. Now then, 500 metres, count them in. Here we are, opening up dead centre. Baska is also here. Top 3 through have got a great chance, and amongst them, of course, is Christoph. Time to go then. Oh! Disaster at this point on that horrible curve. Well, here's Kittel. He's still very much involved. It looks like it's going to be Kittel versus Christoph. Christoph goes for it right now. Bora also trying to light it up. Bora coming through as well. That Bauhaus, I think, is going to have a look at straight to beg your pardon. Oh, and there goes Kittel. Says this one's mine, but that was unkind. It was nasty, and this day has taken a lot of prisoners on that final curve. Kittel made it count.
Yeah, he did. His team did a great job to drag him up towards the front there, and managed to hold it up right through the corner. There's clearly a few riders going a bit too hot through that final turn and ended up having to be scraped off the barriers.
Wow. Let's check it out. We said it was dangerous. We had a preview of the danger. It still wasn't enough. There were so many riders who knew about that final curve. And crashes, it does call them, I'm afraid, this corner, this finale. Let's just hope everyone gets away with this.
Yeah, it didn't look like anyone was seriously hurt there. Everyone seems to get up. So I think it's more of a couple of bruised egos rather than anything.
Kittel gets the victory he was looking for, the one he was denied yesterday, and here's your aerial shot of that final curve. Let's see how far towards the front that crash actually was. Goodness me, it was a whole load. If you're on the right hand side, you got away with it.
I think it was around about 20th wheel that crash happened, and that's usually where it does happen in a sprint. So you know, the guys who was sort of in the mix for the sprint was already up there.
Good to see Bora mixing it with the big guns. Christoph looking reasonably comfortable here as well. And a great push it was from Bora and Bauhaus at the line, I believe. Well, Kittel did the job, and so I think as Alexander Christoph gets himself a bonus again going into the time trial this afternoon, a bonus that will matter to him.
Well, definitely, it's another couple of seconds that he's taking with him. Clearly, he would have liked a few more, but I think that's a good good morning's work for Christoph, and certainly looking pretty good for this weekend.
Well, it was about how well protected you were going in, and Bora Argon did a fantastic job. Likewise did Ethics Quickstep and Katusha. They kept their men safe. You knew, or we predicted, that you had to be in the top 5 coming through that curve if you were going to make it, and Andre Greipel does not look happy. Well, I just want him to be fit. Go away. I'm fine. I've had enough. We'll leave Andre to his bruises. He'll be fine. Phil Bauhaus doing a great job. German 1-2 with Alexander Kristoff. It's a good kid, Bauhaus.
Yeah, definitely, and good sprint again from Omri Capio.
Indeed, Mez gets in 5th place. Sarro, Van Steen, Baska, Kreder, Kump. Some big sprinting names missing there, courtesy of the big bump at the end. Well, we'll be bumping into you, hopefully, a little bit later on, because we've got our individual time trial to come. It's only a short one, just shy of 15 kilometres. And right now, Alexander Kristoff, he'll be up for this.
Yeah, I think he's starting the favourite for this Driedaagse De Panne again, and you know, if he can hold it together in the time trial, then yeah, it should be good.
Good work, Bora Argon finishing 2nd today with Phil Bauhaus. Good work as well by Alexander Kristoff. Quickest man today, safest man, Marcel Kittel. Well, a complex finish, a long lead up to it, Magnus, but an enjoyable day nonetheless.
Yeah, definitely. It's an interesting one, this morning stage, and how, you know, it's passive aggressive in terms of the racing. You sit there and wait for this big sprint, and I think there was quite a few teams that misjudged how fast you have to ride when everyone's got fresh legs to get into that final corner, and it looked like Sky kind of misjudged how fast this lead-out train was actually going this morning, and with that, you know, Viviani wasn't anywhere near the sprint. So, but he certainly wasn't the only one.
Well, this will be an interview in German, I'll be bound, if we have a few moments. You never know.
Marcel Kittel, herzlichen Glückwunsch. Einfach war es nicht, natürlich, sag mal.
Nein, also die Etappe war an sich ja nicht sehr schwer, flach, sehr wenig Wind.
The stage was of course flat for much of the day, but it was all about the finish.
Es ist immer auf der Etappe hier auf der letzten Runde sehr, sehr schwierig in Position zu bleiben. Ich habe das Team.
Well, it's all about position. You have to thank your team. They got me where I needed to be.
Und die letzte Kurve, ja, da sieht man es nochmal. Es ist unheimlich schwer, wenn man da nicht als Dritter um die Kurve fährt, dann mindestens Top 3, dann hat man keine
Well, he's
Chance
talking
mehr.
about the difficulties of that final turn, and indeed those who've been down on the ground, so he spares them a thought. But I was in a superb position, you see, and in the end, I just went for it.
That final corner there, because they crash a lot there recently.
Honestly, to be constructive for the future, I think there should be a few corners before also the last lap with the track rails inside the last 10 kilometers is something where you can improve, and I think the organizers can have a look in that, and maybe there's something possible.
What about the near future? Can you announce that you will be there at the Scheldeprijs in Schoten?
That's my next race and my next objective. Now for me, actually the sort of real season starts with my real highlights, and I think I'm on a good way.
Dankeschön, vielen Dank. Thank you.
Danke.
He's in a good place. Marcel Kittel gets a victory today, and victory in sprints are his trade.
Well, that's what he does, and that's the only thing that he really focuses on. So, you know, these kind of days are made for him, really.
There we are.